Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am your host for today's activities. Our topic today is actually brought to you by Gail Snider, who is our host for Cookie Conversations. A little birdie tells me that we're going to look at bakery-style dark chocolate cookies with sea salt. I can smell that chocolate in the oven right now. Can't you all?
Yes.
And I can hear the ocean where the sea salt is.
It's funny that you should say that because there are actually cookies in the oven right now.
Oh.
So good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be back with you today. And I'm sorry that I didn't let you help pick the recipe, but based on all of our discussions prior to today, I'm sure you're going to love what we're making today.
I am sure we will.
You all love dark chocolate, and this recipe calls for powdered dark cocoa. And it also calls for semi-sweet chips. But I also have a little surprise in that regard. So let me share my screen so I can show you what we're doing.
Do I need to make you co-host, Gail?
I don't think you have to for me to be able to share my screen. If I can just get the right screen to show up.
Well, there it is in case you need it.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Now
That
take the
must
cookies
be
out of the
those
oven.
cookies in the oven. Myra, you were asking what Woodstock was up to this morning. He has resumed chewing on buttons.
Uh-oh.
And he can break them.
Oh, no.
And that's what he's trying to do.
He's succeeding. I'm having to relearn how to sew.
The hardest part about sewing is getting that thread through that little bitty needle.
Little bit, yes, absolutely. Good morning, Dusty.
Good morning.
Hey, Dusty.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Gail
Morning.
was just taking some cookies out of the oven.
Already?
Oh, she had some going earlier today.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so is my screen sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the recipe that we have for today. It's a chocolate cookie recipe with dark chocolate and chocolate chips. And we're gonna use semi-sweets in the ones we're stirring up right now, but the ones I've prepped ahead have dark chocolate chips in them.
Ooh, yeah.
So we're gonna start with 1 cup of unsalted butter, and I've already pre-softened that. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share. I will email this recipe out to everyone so that you'll have a bigger view to see what's going on in the kitchen.
Good morning, Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
Good
Morning.
Oh, Nancy.
Oh, there's
Okay.
that pretty smile.
All right, can everybody see?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to start with a cup of unsalted butter.
That looks like a stick to me, but that's beside the point.
Same thing.
Well, the stick is pre-measured, so there's no point in mashing it all into a cup just to do that measurement.
Gail, those 2 cameras work just fine.
Oh, great.
I'm already appreciative of having them both.
Okay, so now we have our cup of butter, and then we need a cup and a half of brown sugar.
What do you prefer to have?
And brown sugar always wants you to firmly pack it.
Why did I turn like that?
Okay, there's 1 cup. Now we're going to add our additional half a cup. And then we need a half of a cup of granulated sugar. And these are going to be big cookies.
Yay.
I like big cookies.
I wish Paulette were here because she always wants big cookies.
Big cookies, that's right.
Make sure you send her some.
I've already got it on my list.
Good.
All right, so now we're going to mix this together. I'm going to take a quick peek at the recipe and see what we need next. And now we need 2 large eggs and 2 egg yolks.
Ooh, extra rich.
Make sure they're large eggs and not little eggs. I'm sorry.
Well,
What's that?
large eggs are really ostrich eggs, right?
Yeah.
Steve said make sure they're large eggs, not little eggs.
Okay, so I have that mixed together.
I'm sorry.
Can you see on the camera
Yeah, we can see
We
it.
can see it,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
what that looks like? It looks yummy and it smells yummy. Okay, so now we need our eggs.
Sure.
We'll take your word for the smell.
What's that?
We'll take your word for the smell. We trust you.
Well, David, you may not know, but that right there is the whole reason why you get cookies in the mail.
All
Because when I
right.
first started this program, someone suggested that we needed a scratch and sniff
Ah,
on the computer screen. And so I decided that I should mail everybody cookies after we get finished. So there's our first egg.
Appreciate
We're
it.
very appreciative.
Absolutely, we are.
Egg number 2. Egg yolk number 1. And egg yolk number 2. Goes out of the way. And now can you see on the camera, it's a little more creamy,
Yes.
not quite as stiff.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Don't need that anymore. So now it's time to get our dry ingredients. And we need a tablespoon of vanilla first to go into this.
Wow.
That's a lot. Because this
Talk about rich, yeah. The people that wrote this recipe must know something.
You know, that I just threw it in and just kind of said, hey, it tasted good. So
So I don't know that you can really get too much vanilla. Dusty might know differently, but I haven't found that to be the case. So I'm using a little bit of our vanilla paste and the pure vanilla in this.
Yum, that's a good combo.
Mix that in. And we need to scrape the sides just a little.
Don't y'all love having 2 cameras on her?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we need a cup and a half of flour. Did anybody get any rain last night?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this morning.
Yep.
Morning. Ours came this morning as well. It was supposed to rain last night, but then it disappeared out of the forecast. All right, and then we need a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm not going to do quite a full teaspoon of the salt because we're going to have the added salt on top of the cookie.
Thank you. That's good for our hearts not to.
Right. And blood pressure too.
Absolutely.
And a teaspoon of baking soda. And then I'm going to stir that together so the baking soda and salt isn't all in one cookie. And then we're going to carefully add this. Oh, wait, I think I forgot something.
Oh.
I'm about to miss one of the most important ingredients.
The secret one, huh?
Sugar?
No, we already put that in.
Oh, yeah.
Chocolate.
Nancy says chocolate cocoa powder.
Yes, that is right.
Oh.
Go, David. Whoop,
So
whoop.
we're going to add our chocolate cocoa powder. And what we have to remember is we have to do this a little slowly. Otherwise, we get chocolate powder everywhere. Because how many of you have noticed that cocoa powder doesn't mix well?
Mhm.
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Get on the surface of the mix.
Yes.
So you have to really do this a little slower. We get chocolate everywhere.
We would rather have it in the cookies.
What's that?
We would rather have it in the cookies.
I would rather have it in my belly.
Mhm.
Jumped out. Did you all see that?
No.
I
No.
have cocoa powder all over my hands now.
Uh-oh.
Good lick it. You don't lick it because you're in the show, right? Otherwise, you'd lick it.
Well, cocoa powder by itself, that's kind of like tasting vanilla.
I know. I know.
And so we're going to fully mix that into the recipe.
What am I doing over here? But,
You just wanted to sit there.
okay.
It's okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Where am I?
Have to
Good
use
morning.
my scraper to get the rest of this chocolate down into the dough. How's that extra camera working?
Good. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Like a
All right.
cooking show.
Now we're going to add the flour, doing that slowly as well. But it mixes in easier than the cocoa powder for some reason.
There is no slow on that machine.
What's that, Dusty?
I said there is no slow on that machine.
Well,
Just fast and faster.
I think it's starting to skip first gear. Have you noticed sometimes it'll speed up? I think it tries to skip first gear on me.
Oops.
He's on down the road. Skipping first gear.
Use a bowl and a spoon.
All right. So now we're going to try to get the rest of this flour down in the mix. So now we have, it's not quite as thick as chocolate chip cookie dough, but it's still fairly thick and smells very chocolatey. And now we're going to add our chocolate chips. And for this recipe, we're using the semi-sweet morsels. And it takes the whole bag.
Yay.
Wow.
Wow.
Yay.
That's chocolate.
Chocolate overload.
I am so ready to get my mail.
No such thing as chocolate overload. No such thing.
No such. Whoops.
Whoa.
All right. Now I'm going to move the mixer out of the way, and you'll be able to see my messy counter here.
Can I lick the beaters?
You were here? Absolutely.
Just run right over, Don.
I remember doing that as a kid.
Yep.
I bet all of us did, didn't we?
Yep.
I
Yes.
still do.
I still do.
I still do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Don, do you have a last name?
And my last name's Gasser.
You gonna put it on the,
Gasser.
you gonna type it in? It
I
just
don't
says
know.
Don.
What does it say now?
I'll do it.
It says Don. Okay.
Good, Don.
All right. So now we are going to put parchment paper on our cookie sheet.
You're the best.
What kind of cookie sheet are you using? It sounded very hard.
These are actually new ones that I got around Christmas time. It's a very heavy cookie sheet.
Is
Looks
it ceramic or what is it? Or is it metal?
It's not ceramic, it's metal. I can't remember the name on it. My sister found one of them at Christmas time and got it for me as a gift. And I like it so much, I went on the hunt to get some more. And my store where she got them was out, so she actually bought me 3 more.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
And they work really well.
Yeah, I'm sure the surface doesn't scratch like on these other ones that you can buy.
Well, I'm being real particular about what can be used on these cookie sheets.
Good for you.
Okay, so is my camera picking up?
Yep.
Can you all see?
Yep.
Okay, so this recipe says to use a large scoop and to put 2 scoops from the large scoop for each cookie.
Wow.
That's huge.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how the first batch turned out, and I'm not in love with it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll bet they're still good.
Don't you know they are?
Yeah.
You made it into the house, Mary Jane.
Wow, those are big cookies.
Oh.
There's only one
First batch.
that's that. That's to eat it.
And these are dark chocolate morsels.
Really.
Ooh.
Let me
Wow.
take it, and I forgot to put the salt sprinkles on it. So let me just take one off.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
It's
yeah.
a big cookie.
Now,
Yeah.
why would you not be in love with that?
Yeah, but why won't you make smaller cookies? You can have 2 instead of just 1.
Because they're not perfectly shaped.
Yes,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I figured that.
But the recipe cautions you that if you don't make them big, the texture is going to turn out different.
Oh,
true.
okay.
Okay. So now I'm going to break this cookie so that you can see the inside.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Take a bite.
It's a little thinner than I expected it to be and a little more crispy on the bottom. And it said bake 15 to 20 minutes and I baked it 16 minutes. Okay. So we're going to try using the 2 scoops, but I wanted to show you how it came out.
That's all right.
Okay. So this is the scoop that I used for that batch. And maybe it was just how I positioned them. So maybe I need to be just a little more careful about how I position them. But this dough seems a little bit soft, like maybe 5 minutes in the refrigerator might make it do a little better.
Thank you, Martha.
Let's see.
Martha, I think David has a question.
Oh, I told David I loved his shirt.
Oh.
Thank you.
It's Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
We can only see the top 2/3 of his face.
Yeah, the bottom of it says number one father, right? Number one dad.
Oh, cool.
I'm
your father.
I'm your father.
That's super duper.
Okay, so now we're going to put on our salt. And I'm actually using a flaky kosher salt.
Really?
Boy, they.
So can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on there.
Are you going to make any of them without salt?
Do I need to?
Tell
I
her
don't
now.
know.
She put less salt in the recipe because there was going to be salt on top. She said that would be good for our blood pressure.
Okay, so I'm going to pop these over to the oven and I'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll be waiting.
Yes, we will.
We'll be here.
Has anybody ever made chocolate chip cookies from scratch?
My
Yes.
wife has.
Oh, yeah.
My wife
Yetta?
does.
No?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Years ago.
Okay, Janine, to answer your question, I made some this morning before the program started, and these don't have salt on the top. Can you see that?
Yes.
And these have dark chocolate chips. The ones we just made have semi-sweet chocolate chips.
Well, I would love to have one of those.
You would? Well,
Or
don't forget to check your mail later this week.
Well, then I'll say I'd love to have one too.
So Gail, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
How much cookie dough do you have left? Do you have enough left to do another pan, or you have to make up another batch?
Oh no, now I have 2 batches of cookie dough.
Okay.
So this is the cookie dough with the dark chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Wow,
Okay,
okay.
great.
That I made before I joined you. And it's a little thicker than the one we just made. And I'm not sure why.
Just to make sure we all get one that has the dark chocolate in it, right?
Yes, I will.
Yetta, I'm sorry you've never been able to make chocolate chip cookies.
Well, I guess I just could. It's just not, my cookies, they're all crisp cookies. I never make these soft cookies.
Oh, okay.
And this is the one we just made with the semi-sweet chips.
Oh, Gail.
So
you were talking about a secret ingredient, Gail. What is that?
So the secret was that I made a batch with dark chocolate chips.
Oh, that
because the majority of this group loves dark chocolate.
Okay.
But I wanted to try the recipe the way it's written.
Okay.
With the combination of the semi-sweet chips and the dark cocoa powder.
Okay.
Because
All right.
it specifically calls for dark cocoa powder. So let me take these off of a sheet and we'll get another batch ready to go in the oven.
Excellent.
Right.
Didn't know there was such a thing as dark cocoa powder.
I didn't
Learn
know
something
that
every
either.
day.
So
That's why you go on the channel here.
The Gail channel.
Yeah, this is like a cooking show.
It is. We were just saying before you popped on, Mary Jane, that she ought to have her own cooking show.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so which batch should I make another set of? The dark chocolate?
Yes.
Now,
My hand's up.
Well, to me, you're gonna use up all the dough, cookie dough, right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one you do now.
no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now. And because these cookies are so large, you probably won't have quite as many cookies as you usually have.
Sure.
That's fine.
I'm hoping to have at least 6 to 8 in each box.
Okay.
Oh,
Great.
wow.
Wow.
So I'm going to try a different scoop. This one is a little bigger than that first one we used, but I'm only going to use 1 scoop.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
that's
we're
great.
experimenting now.
See how
That's
it
great.
goes out.
So Yetta, if you grew up with crisp cookies, is there a crisp cookie that you would like to see Gail make for us? We may need some education in what's
It's
good.
just a lot of Danish butter cookies.
Yeah, those are good.
Oh,
And
they
we
are.
did those, but
Those are
it's been
good.
a really long time.
Pardon me?
I said we did a Danish butter cookie or a
Oh, you
French
did?
butter cookie,
Mhm.
but it was way back in the beginning.
I missed
Mhm.
it too.
We missed it too.
So I think it was actually a French butter cookie. So yet if you have a special recipe that you'd like to share, I'd be glad to make them for the program.
Okay.
They were really good. They were probably some of the best you've made, Gail, in my mind.
I really enjoyed those as well. And
Yeah,
I wanted to make them again at Christmas, and it didn't happen.
they were really good. They were very delicate, but they made great ice cream topping.
Well, Steve, you'll have to explain why yours made great ice cream topping.
Well, they crumbled, and so you just put them on top of the ice cream when you put it in a bowl.
But when Steve's cookies arrived, only one of them was a cookie. The rest
That's
of
right.
them
They're
were
all crunched. The box was crunched in the mail.
Oh.
Okay. Gail has done a very good job of labeling everything, fragile, things like that. Well, the postman didn't pay any attention to that one or that one. It just was all crumbles, except for that one cookie.
So here is our sheet. Now I was able to get 8 cookies on this one, and I hope they don't run together.
I think that those will probably come out in a better.
I think so
in a
too.
better state.
Yeah.
So Gail, do you have to adjust the cooking time for those since they're separate?
I'll have to adjust the cooking time. Yes.
Okay.
Probably, I'm going to say about 11 minutes on these.
Okay.
So we'll see, but I'm going to pop them in the oven.
Okay.
So I think I know what I don't like about the first ones is when you set the 2 scoops together, it makes the cookie long instead of round.
Yeah.
I want it to be round.
I wonder if you could put the 2 scoops on top of each other.
I don't know. I'd be afraid that it wouldn't get done.
Yeah.
But I could.
Could you use your hands and make a round ball with the 2 scoops?
It's pretty sticky, but I could use a regular ice cream scoop.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So I might have to try that. So you may get cookies of all different sizes and shapes in your box.
All right.
And I don't think we'll care.
Yeah, I don't think we'll care.
It'll all be wonderful, Gail.
So I want to show you again. I'm going to share my screen again. I want to show you the picture again because I don't think our batch has turned out the same. Can you see?
Coming out?
Yeah.
Theirs looks a little more gooey.
It does. Yeah.
It does.
And this one, let me stop my screen share again. This one is pretty thin, and can you see the light crisp coating on the outside?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it looks like
And
it looks like your chips melted more than the other picture.
Yeah.
maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Well,
is
these
the other
ones-
one already baked? The one on the recipe?
The one that you see on the recipe was the picture I found online.
But it's baked already?
Yes.
Should
Oh.
have been. Yeah.
The other difference with this particular recipe is I was a little bit short of cocoa.
Hmm.
So I melted some dark chocolate chips
Oh.
Okay.
Mm.
to get
Okay.
enough chocolate flavor to make it the dark, rich chocolate for the dough.
Okay.
So you might also notice that difference. Oh, and we forgot to salt that last batch of cookies, didn't we?
Mhm.
Let me check.
Janine, are you and John both watching your blood pressure?
No, we just don't like salt very much.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so can you see from my extra camera what these are starting to do?
Running out.
They're going to be a little bit more round than those
Yeah.
others.
Are they done?
No, they're not done. I pulled them out to add the salt.
Okay.
And Janine, I'll send you some without salt.
Thank you.
You know, salt is one of those strange things. You don't want too much of it, but you need some of it.
Yeah.
You know, your body needs some salt.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I remember as a Boy Scout going and getting dehydrated,
Yep.
not having enough salt, and you get leg cramps.
Yep.
Very
Mhm.
bad.
Very bad.
Salt pills.
So you need
Yes.
both
Well,
ones. Yep.
there's enough salt added to all our
Most-
foods. I'm sure I
Yeah,
get plenty.
that's true. Yeah, true. Yeah. You know,
Now-
it's not quite, we have more processed food with salt in it. Growing up, we didn't have as much. We had to add salt, you know. I
Yeah.
remember having salt tablets and things like that when you're out in there. You know, just like cows have to have salt licks.
Ah, salt
Yeah.
licks.
Salt lick.
Yeah, we had salt tablets when I was playing basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Deer,
I-
don't deer have a salt lick too?
Yes.
Was
Yes.
Deer?
Cows have it.
Yeah.
My
There-
grandmother used to drink so much water when she was older because she was told she needed to drink water. She would drink so much water that she flushed all of the salt
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
out of her body, and she
Yeah.
was low because she was drinking so much water.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Hard for most people to drink too much water, though, myself included.
Unless you're an
Mhm.
athlete like what these folks were talking about,
Right.
basketball and tennis and. What
Okay,
was
so
the-
should I try the ice cream scoop on this next batch?
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yetta, I had the same thought about making the balls with your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had not asked the question, I probably would have. I'm glad you did.
So, which cookie was it that we did that was so sticky and we had to roll it into balls and it was so sticky?
Oh,
Do you remember, Steve?
I don't remember. I remember because we talked about how to make it not as sticky when we put it together.
Right.
You know,
I
And I
think
said-
that one I ended up refrigerating,
yeah,
hoping.
because I said
Sometimes you can use water on your hands when you roll the dough or do something with dough.
Yeah.
Right.
I even talked about maybe putting ham or something like that on your hands. That's like they kind of use butter every once in a while, right, Dusty? Bakers sometimes use butter on their hands for certain things.
Well, you
No,
do
all I
that.
ever used was water.
Okay. Well, I remember my grandmother using butter.
Well, when we would make homemade bread
Hmm.
and roll the bread into the
Right.
shape of the rolls
Yeah.
that you wanted, we always used butter.
Right. Yeah. Gave a little extra flavor to it too.
Okay, so here's our next batch.
Okay.
And this is an ice cream scoop.
Okay.
That
This
looks
is
so good.
a
I think
little
I could eat
bigger
that
than
dough
that.
raw.
They look
Yeah.
very uniform.
Yes, they
Well,
do.
they do now
That
until
makes
they
me
bake.
happy.
We want Gail happy, so she keeps right on making cookies.
Okay, so I've added the salt to all but 2 of these.
Okay.
And this salt is not as big and coarse as the salt they put on pretzels at the mall.
Okay.
So just so you know, it's Janine, it's not going to be quite like that. If that's what you were thinking, it's a little more flaky.
No, I'm just not fond of salt.
Just not fond of salt. But have you ever noticed there are some things that if you cook them and you don't put salt in them, they just don't taste good?
Yes.
Yes.
Especially mashed potatoes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I put enough butter in my potatoes that it has plenty of salt.
Oh, that's right. There you go.
Okay, well, let's take a trip across the kitchen and check on the oven.
All right. And here
The
we
mashed
go.
potatoes I get with my Meals on Wheels are just, I have to document them so much. They're just bland.
Yeah.
No flavor to them.
Steve, do you know the reason why? I can tell you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
That's why when we made it center, they also always added packets of salt and pepper and other spices onto the tables because, people would need to spice them up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to mess up anybody's health.
Nope. I understand. And I understand the reasoning is just that I have to do it.
Good.
This is our first batch from today, from the semi-sweets.
Okay.
The double
where
scoop?
we did the 2 scoops.
Scoops.
And most of the salt actually soaked into the cookie. Can you see that?
Yes.
Which I thought is interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and take these out a little early and see if that makes a difference in the texture.
Okay.
And then I'll give you a peek at the other ones that we did.
Oh,
Those look smoother.
Yeah.
Less wrinkly.
Well, that's the dough that seems a little softer. So let me grab that other sheet and pop it in the oven.
Hey, Gail.
Yes.
Just an observation about the original cookie picture that you showed with that had all the chocolate chips sitting on top of it. It almost looks like they put those on during the last 3 or 4 minutes of baking.
The salt?
No, the chips. Because those chips in an oven do not stay like that. They melt.
Yeah.
Well, this batch that we just took out,
do
you see the chips?
It's got some.
Yeah, it's got some. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's remove these from the cookie sheet, and then we'll take a peek at them.
Okay.
Don, the food pictures are always doctored anyway.
That's true.
They make them and photograph them enough until they're perfect.
They do.
Yeah. Photoshop.
Then they put it on the ad or the package, and you can never duplicate it. It's like those icing, the perfect icing, whatever. But you can never duplicate it with the package of icing they give you, because the icing goes all over the place. It doesn't look as perfect as the picture. But they do it a lot of times.
A little more.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the picture of the picture.
It does. Looks good.
It does.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
But it's huge.
Yes.
And I just made another observation that I'm going to show you in just a moment. But we'll go back over to our second camera.
So while you're taking those off of the cookie sheet, tell us about Ledger.
What would you like to know?
Well, now that he's a couple of weeks old, what is he doing?
He's starting to make all kinds of faces. My daughter posted a picture yesterday or the day before, and she called it the Faces of Ledger, and it's about 7 or 8 pictures, and he's making a different face in all of them.
Well, guess what? Adults make faces at him, so he's just trying to communicate back.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back over to our other part of the kitchen. If I can do this without spilling the cookies.
I think you're amazing to make cookies on camera.
That's right.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Okay. So now, with my second camera, I wish I could make that second camera big. What do you see on the second camera?
Right now.
Nothing.
Nothing right
It's
now.
turned off.
I think, yeah, it turned off.
Oh.
There's your face. Ah, cookie sheet.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what do you see?
Different colors.
Different colors.
Colors
different
and
size.
Okay, so the lighter one on this side, this is the first batch that I used half a cup of dark chocolate cocoa powder.
Okay.
And about a half a cup of melted dark chocolate morsels.
Yeah.
Okay.
The darker batch is all dark cocoa.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
So that could explain the difference in the texture
That's right.
of the two cookies. So now what we're going to do so that we can see the inside of the cookie, let me pick the one that's not the prettiest, since I'm going to break it. And these have a completely different texture than the other cookies.
Oh, they look softer.
So
It is softer. Now, this one's still warm, but it is much softer.
Interesting.
See, does this camera pick it up?
Little and half an inch toward the, that's it. Perfect.
I see.
I can't see because she's not talking.
Thicker and
Yeah.
chewier. You could put us on gallery view, Janine.
I'm trying.
Oh, okay.
And I don't see it.
Top
Well,
right.
let me hold it up to this camera. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That looks so good.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
different texture,
oh boy.
a completely different texture than this.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
I bet both of them taste good though.
I bet they do.
That's right.
I missed part of
All
the
right.
program because our food got here.
Ah,
Okay.
so that completes our recipe for today. And our other batches are just about ready to come out of the oven.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you so much, Gail.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
Absolutely.
So, have I talked to you all since we went to the zoo
No.
with my grandsons?
You told
No.
me, but I don't think you did to everybody.
So we went to the zoo on Friday, Good Friday. We took the boys with my daughter to the zoo, and my grandson loved feeding lettuce to the giraffe.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun. Ledger slept through the whole zoo trip, but we had a good time. And then on Saturday, Both of the boys came up. I picked them up around 12:30, and then Mommy and Daddy came for supper. And so we had both of the boys all afternoon, and Houston played everything he could play while he was here. He played outside, he played inside. He rode in a little wheeled cart that we have in the house. My husband took him laps around the middle of the house, riding in the cart. He thought that was great fun. So,
That's wonderful.
but you might say a little prayer for him. He's been sick since Friday.
Oh, no.
And they thought he was better, and he got sick again this morning. So he's not feeling very good.
We
That's
sure
terrible.
will. Absolutely.
We just hope and pray that the baby and my daughter don't get sick too.
That's correct.
Absolutely. There should be a rule that only one can get sick at a time.
Yes. I remember when our kids were just toddlers and we lived far away from family, didn't know anybody. It was when my husband was in the military, and my husband and I both got sick, and neither of us even wanted to smell food. And you're like, okay, what are we supposed to do with these kids? They have to eat, but the thought of going to the kitchen and making food does not sound good at all.
Yeah.
So somehow we managed to get through it, but I still have visions in my head of that miserable weekend when we were sick and nobody felt like doing anything, and the kids were running around doing whatever they wanted to do.
I wonder if they remember that as a good thing.
I don't think they remember it at all, because they would have been, my daughter was barely a year old. My son would have been 2, so I don't think they remember it.
Well, let's hope that your extended family gets well soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I hope to have another update from Bob. I watched the part of the recording last night, and I saw that he popped in for just a minute.
He did. Yeah.
I've sent them the information so that they could join from Paulette's phone, but I think they had a meeting with some of the staff at the facility today.
Okay.
So she's actually in rehab.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think it might be connected to the hospital that she was at.
Yeah.
So, but when I had a message from him last week, he said she misses everyone very much.
Oh,
I'm sure she does.
We miss her. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss her.
Absolutely.
Maybe later this week she'll be able to join for at least part of a session.
Yeah.
I hope so.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we want her to stay part of our extended family here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm anxious to hear how recovery is really going.
I'm sure she'll tell us.
I'm sure she will.
Yes. Tomorrow we have Peggy Spear with the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. She's going to talk to us about flower power.
Flower power.
Oh.
That's right. And then we'll have Fifth Street Cafe for some time after that. So if you want to come and chat, that's the time to do it.
All right.
Does anybody have anything they would like to share or talk about or mention before we go, Gail?
Yep.
Gail?
That's some terrible news.
What?
I just burned the cookies.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Send them to
No
me.
such
I'll eat
thing.
them.
How burned? I mean, how burned are they really?
They're smoking.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got her talking too much.
I had a timer on.
Huh.
Oh, dear.
Is that the one where you did just one scoop?
The small ones.
See, there's the
How
timer.
many?
The last batch that I put in, they're a little too done. I'll have to taste them and see if they taste burnt, but on the edges.
Yeah, don't throw them away.
No.
But the other batch, this batch,
Oh.
can you see?
Yeah.
They
What?
went completely flat and the edges are burned, really
Oh.
burned.
I wonder if it was because you made smaller scoops.
I don't know. It smells burned.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You can cut the centers out and send them to us.
Yeah.
Make us donut holes. Make them cookie holes.
Yeah.
Cookie holes.
I love
Use
it.
a biscuit cutter and cut the center out, and maybe
There you
that'll
go.
get rid of the burnt parts.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or you can just send us the burn part and we can cut out the centers.
We're not
we
particular.
decided-
Are you saying that?
No.
That's no fun. That's no fun.
Hey, but it's an activity for us to do.
Oh, okay.
I like that, Steve.
The question is, does everybody have a biscuit cutter?
No,
Or
I'll
a
just use the burnt
glass
part.
the
You can
size
always
of
use a
a-
knife, or you can do
Called a
something,
soup
you know.
can. It's
Yeah.
called a soup can.
a soup can.
Or a
You can
glass.
also use a glass that's
Mhm.
the
Yes.
size of a biscuit. That always
Yeah,
works
yeah.
pretty well.
You all are so funny. I just love being with you. Absolutely. I even hate to say goodbye. Let me say that.
Yeah.
We appreciate
It's been a lot of fun.
it.
It
Has.
has,
Thank you,
yeah.
Thank you,
Gail.
Gail.
We have some more cookies coming up.
All right.
Have
All
a
right.
good day,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
All right, bye
See
bye,
you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye.
Tomorrow.
Bye.